In a world where this is the third and final installment of Bayonetta's process. In a world where I've been working on this since freaking April. In a world where I don't know what I'm talking about, so I'm gonna stop.
Why am I like this? Alright, so, we've been through some stuff, but it's okay. We will continue.
There will be no mistakes this time. Nothing will go wrong, I swear. I think I'm lying.
So we'll begin on the accessories. When I first started conceptualizing how to build her guns, I wanted to make all of the attachments hinged, so I planned on working with materials that were easily drilled through. I started with 4 bamboo skewers and fixed them together with epoxy sculpt. Then I drew out an appropriately sized grip on a piece of paper and transferred it to popsicle sticks. Then I fixed all of those pieces together with epoxy, but I quickly realized that these are very much too large. So, instead, I do the same thing, but a lot smaller, and I forgot about them being hinged because no. Just no. So I hand sculpt everything. I paint them red, give them some dry brushing of gunmetal, and add some tiny gold details. Then for her shoes, I chose these studded, leathery, strap-looking things, but then I cut them up to be a little bit more accurate, paint them, add some dry brushing and details in silver and red. Then I choose the most poorly made guns and attach those to the shoes. Shifting to her clothes, I make a somewhat questionable pattern for her pants by covering her legs in plastic wrap and paper macheing them with glue and toilet paper. Who does this? Why is this my hobby? Then, when everything is dry, I cut them off approximately where I want the seams to be. I wrap tissue paper around the forms and cut them out so that they have that shape, and transfer these to fabric. This isn't the most precise way to make a pattern. It took a couple tries, but it worked out. Then, I went to Joann's.
The best fabric store you will ever go to. Never go anywhere else, aside from a thrift store. But when you can't find what you want in a thrift store, you gotta go to Joann's, because Joann's is the best!
I found this perfect stretchy pleather fabric, which worked incredibly well for what I wanted. Then for her top, I used the pattern from Delightful's Etsy for her steampunk Lolita dress, took the shirt from that pattern and converted it into a leotard. Then for the closure, I added a ribbon cinched back. Then I sew on chains to the front and back of her suit. I glue the loose threads down on the inside of each garment with Fabri-Tac. Now for her hair. So because I shrank her head, I am not able to do a reroot this time round. So I got to make a wig. Now, let me tell you, I'm not that good at wigs. I start by making wefts. I do this by combing out acrylic yarn, straightening them with a hot flat iron, and running a straight line of glue through the ends of the hair. Now obviously the yarn by itself is not long enough, so for the bulk of the hair, I am using black cane Kalan hair from Retro Dolls US.
Thank you, Shannon. I still love you. Is this weird yet?
And when I run glue through the thicker hair, I make sure to ruffle it through so that both sides of the hair are completely saturated with the glue. Now for the wig cap. Wrap her up in a little Bayonetta burrito, and then I stretch over a layer of saran wrap and stretchy cotton fabric over her head. I give her at least 3 coats of glue and then mark off the hairline.
But then, the unthinkable happened.
I tried to peel off the wig cap. Her neck just freaking fell off. Like I didn't spend a full 2 weeks repairing it after the last time she exploded or something. So at first, I tried to fix it with super glue, but it fell off again. So then, I went ham on building up the structure with epoxy and super glue, and in the process, I made her neck look a little bit more human, which is great, and I accidentally mixed up too much epoxy, so I had to put it somewhere. Why are you watching this? Why did I film this? Then I recolored everything and blushed her again, and now she's good as new.
For like the third time.
So then, I finish her wig. Yo, I have no excuse. I swear this happens every time. I straight up forgot to film the entire process of making her wig. So, I'll link a few good tutorials in the description for that. And honestly, being that I'm not very experienced in wig making, it's better to leave it to someone who's a bit more qualified. Sorry about that though. And during my unfortunate, forgetful episode, I was also packing to go on a much-needed vacation for a week. I had my camera packed away, and I filmed almost everything while I was gone, but when I came back, I discovered that all of the footage was corrupted. And with those files, I lost some of the final shots of the details that I had added, so I'm left with no choice but just to give an overview of everything I did. So when I added the guns to her shoes, they became too heavy to stay on her feet, so I added some ribbons at the top to aid to that, painted on embellishments to her pants, and dry brushed her entire outfit in gold, just to add more drama and interest. Plus, I've noticed that adding shading and highlights to almost any surface makes it look a little bit less amateur. I made those cool hair holsters she has on her arms, and added white gloves, and I ended up gluing the guns in place in her hands. A little advice to you: when you take the time to hand sculpt tiny, deadly weapons, take time to sculpt it so that the character can hold them, like little notches for fingers or something, so that you don't have to glue them in place. For her hair, I twisted the thickest section onto itself to form a top knot, and then tied it down with ribbons. Then I separated the hair into 3 sections, and put the 2 smallest sections into her hair holsters, tied in the chain, and attached charms on each end. After all of the trauma this doll has been through, I'm so happy with how she turned out. And not to be too sappy and cliche, but I really appreciate how much everyone has enjoyed this series. Sharing something that I love with people is always really, really fun, but to have so many people enjoy and engage with it is really incredible to me, and I appreciate all of the support. This doll holds a lot of emotional value, too. She's my first ever proper commission from one of my really, really good friends. Thank you so much, Noah. This means a lot to me. That's it for this video. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Really, this has been a trip and a half, and it was so worth it. Thank you. Bye! Are you yelling at me, Mr. Squirrel? I'm sorry. You're still cute though. Not gonna lie.